Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. I'm my buddy Rhett. Here's a nut for our buddy. Yesterday she was like the last few days she's been waiting at the bottom for it. Don't know why she's not waiting today. I did that was her favorite kind of nut, but looks like she is going down to get it. So I said something yesterday that like really rattled around in my head the whole rest of the day and through the night, and especially this morning I was thinking about. And I said there's a time and a place for everything. And I guess our one of the I complain about our this I okay, I think English is the best of the human languages at this point in time. Don't I would say I would say that with a low confidence. It's what I think. I don't have a whole lot of confidence. I definitely would not be able to engage in a debate with somebody that, like, if I was speaking to someone who was knowledgeable, I would not debate them. I would listen because I'm not particularly knowledgeable, but I do think that the features of English um, make it like a very, very ideal language. One of the things that's really nice about it is with the exception of the this, the th, and this, it's fairly easy for all the different people's language speakers of the world to pronounce almost all the words in English. The way we can fuse words together and pull words apart and things like that um, add to a whole lot of flexibility. I think it's just super flexible, super easy to understand, a lot easier to speak than to write and read. But you know, anyways, but one of the big holes in our language is probably a strength as well, but is that like when people say stuff, it's difficult to know what they mean. So like sometimes when someone says, like, um, I don't know, trees don't grow in the dark. Someone says that, like, you don't know. Are they saying that as a fact? Or something that they know for fact, or is it something that they hope, something they aspire to? You just can't tell. And I think the phrase "there's a time and place for everything" is like not a reality. Like there isn't always a time and a place for everything, but that's something you should aspire to. And um, that's kind of the thing that I realized with unit tests is that like there when you're so there's a time that you should be looking from 30,000 feet at the how the whole application works, and that's probably a, easy to lose track of, and you can end up building some really screwy things because you're not thinking of what does the actual application work like. You're just more focused on some aspect of the application. So it's important that you do that, and that's probably what end-to-end tests do for you. But there's also a time that you should be looking at the absolute ground level, like at the lowest, smallest level. And it makes sense that unit testing would be a great time to do that. And because the thing is then when you're like the most fun part of working on an application, in my opinion, is when like there's something broken and then you have to figure out what it is and then try to fix it and come up with some sort of clever scheme for fixing it. And then once you come up with a clever scheme, come up with a reasonable solution that other people would be able to do. And all of those factors are really fun. But there's sort of two stresses that always kind of sit in the back of my head when I'm doing that. And the first stress is, man, am I screwing up the overall application? Like, am I deep into this? I'm all fixated on some aspect of the application. And now when I'm done building this, is it going to be like the application itself is going to be way worse than it was because I achieved some sort of low level win, So there's that. And it's been really, end to end tests have been very, very nice because I can just like let that go. Okay, there's going to be a time. There's going to be a time to worry about how this affects the overall application, and it's during end to end testing. Well, the other thing that always messes me up is like I don't really like spending a bunch of time trying to figure out, trying to remember to return something. I only have one entrance and one exit to do that kind of thing, you know, like all the really fine grain, or not have a bunch of code mixed in together doing different things, or having code that doesn't really read. It's more like oh, it you can imply this and stuff like that. Well, unit testing is the time to worry about that. So, you know, there's a time to work through it. This is kind of the first time that like I haven't thoroughly made sure that I don't have any bugs before I get to the unit test stage, because I'm like, I feel like all the pieces are in place, but um, and there may be some bugs in there, but I want to get this thing nice and tight before I go searching for bugs again, um, because I think that the way I have it is good. Um, and if there are some edge cases where things are broken, I think my senses, my instincts are that I would just be able to tweak the existing stuff as opposed to having to like reorganize things. And so, but I could be wrong because, like I said, this is the first time. But man, it has been really nice being like, oh, okay, this is the time that I worry about whether I'm returning something and stuff like that, just the basics. But anyway, so as we go through here, we see we're running all the unit tests. Every single unit test is running, and oh, I didn't run it. npm run test. So we're running all the unit tests, and we're getting 92% statement coverage, 92% line coverage. There's 503 statements, 500 lines, 92.48, 123 out of 133 functions are being called, and 57 out of 68 branches are being called. Now that is like sort of like when you run unit tests. When I run unit tests, when I execute unit tests, like kind of the first round is like getting them all to pass, all the existing unit tests pass. Then the next round is to get up to 100%. That is probably not something you'd want to do in a professional environment, but um, you know, that's what I'm doing here because I really want to. So I really wanted to understand unit tests. I feel like I understand them a lot better now. But so then the next step would be to get 100%. Then the next step would be to run every individual suite and make sure that every individual suite gets 100% of its code. So we are at the running everything and trying to get to 100%, and we have a problem in this app tabular layout. And when you click in there, we could see that this delete render item is never being called. Now I was saying that I needed to mock this up, but I really don't, because it doesn't really do much other than run this one line of code, which is going to do that whether it deletes something or not. So I'm going to say like delete render ID 1. It's going to run it. It's not going to find anything. There is no, and it's going to return a false, but do I really care? Not really. I just want to make sure that this thing runs 100%. And I don't really care at this level, at the app layout, component layout. Like, it's not really my business to try to make sure that everything in delete renderer works the way it's supposed to work. So, and yeah, so I'm glad I didn't kind of continue to work out on that yesterday. So anyways, I think I created no, I did not. App. Am I in the right one? I don't think I'm in the right one. App tabular layout component. Yeah, I am. That's this guy, right? Yep. Okay. So I thought I guess yesterday must have gotten confused and I was working in some other part of the application. Because I thought I had remembered creating something that threw out an error saying that, or a warning saying that there was an expectation. Maybe, oh, you know what? I think I did do that yesterday, and then I never saved it, would be my guess. But that doesn't make any sense because I remember seeing the little warning. Interesting. All right, So should delete a renderer item. Should delete a renderer item. So it's not really, that's not a super accurate description. Assertion, I think that's called an assertion. Let's see. When we do it, no, it's my expectation. This thing here is this. What I'm about to write now is my assertion. I love you too, Rat. I love you. Oh, hey, Daisy. I love you too. So now, let's see. We're just gonna say. So we expect it to return a false, right? Equals component. And I think we're expecting the deleted to be false because the component, the ID, false because the renderer doesn't exist. Does not exist. Does not exist. I guess if I want to put a period, I should put a capital D and expect deleted to be false. So we'll just see if that worked. I'm expecting, I don't know, I guess I expect one more function to be, so 124. I don't think there's any branches in there, but I guess 3 statements should be covered. So 463, 124, and 463. So it's crazy. Apparently all 3, well, yeah. Okay, so I don't know. So 477. So we ended up getting 14 statements. Oh, that's because it actually ended up counting all the statements in here too. Branches 57. We went from, so we stayed the same. Yeah, so there was no branches covered, which is weird because you would have thought there would have been a branch down the line. Functions, we went up to 127 from 123, so that's fun. And then lines 474 from 460. So 14, I think 14 of each. So the difference between this is the difference between statements and lines right now. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. So anyways, if I hit refresh, this should be filled out now. Yep. So now we're good. We're all hundreds across there. So anyways, we got a kind of a false 100 somewhere. But we're doing a lot better. So now the next thing is this services renderer. Apparently there is a single branch in there that is not getting called. So one line is not being called and one branch is not being called. So this is exciting. I love you too. Okay, so yeah. So this is good because this was the one that I was worried would be taken care of, but fortunately the part where it finds something and deletes it is not being done. So, and I think it's just so much easier, right? At this point, because we should be able to create a renderer, right? In here, do we? Yeah. So we could call get base renderer, which I believe will create a renderer, and then we can delete it, and it'll return the ID, and then we can pass that ID in here and delete it, and that'll give us all that. All of those things, those little pieces that make unit testing so much easier are incredibly important towards understanding the code when you're trying to figure it out later. When you're trying to come back and you're trying to reason about it, returning things and stuff like that is although as you can see, I never do actually set deleted to true down here, so we need to do that. But see, those are like details that don't even matter to the actual operation of the code, but they do matter a lot to understanding the code. And the code is just so much easier to make sense of when you have that kind of thing. And unit testing is the time to do that. And we didn't used to have a time without the in my other all my other projects where I don't have unit tests. I don't have a time to do that. That time has not been carved out in any way, shape, or form to do that. So, am I looking at the right thing? Line 91, 991. Yeah, so we want to say deleted is equal to true. Like, doesn't freaking matter from the perspective of the actual code running. It doesn't matter. But from the aspect of being able to maintain this later, I could tell you for a fact that seeing that what like this adds context. This adds like, oh, okay, we have a dictionary and we're deleting it and then we mark it to true. Like that is like so much easier to understand than just an abstraction, and so anyways, and like it just is so insanely relevant right now and so insanely not relevant when we're doing our unit tests. Now we did add a line, I think, right? So we have 504 statements now. We had 503, we had 500 lines, and now we have 501 lines. So our new deleted equal true is a new line. And then we have a branch that doesn't get called. All right, so. And we even have one that's kind of like it should. Should delete ID. And we want to call it like when there's nothing there, and then we also want to call it when there's something there. So basically we want to say service dot delete renderer. And just to be clear, and I say this over and over again, the only reason this is called service is because up here we named it service. That is not like some sort of like behind the scenes thing that you just have to know. It happens for a reason. And that is not the case with everything, right? Like when you do like a for each loop, you just have to remember that the first argument that comes in is the actual individual item that you're on, as you're iterating. The second is the index that you're on, and the third is the list. You just have to know that. That's something you just have to know. This is something that you don't just have to know. So and it's so important to kind of keep that stuff. And then basically, and we want the value, right? So we're going to say let result. So instead of result, let's call it delete result. And then we're expecting that to be false. It's like when you're like, I was just sort of like just really vibing there. I was just kind of going through and just flowing. Oh, I guess flowing is the right word. And anytime you're flowing like that, and then like you think it's such a bummer to find out. To also then you have that, oh crap, this, yeah, I've become very proficient at this and it's deprecated. Um, that is a bummer of a thought. Um, I noticed that the Angular team is not posting videos right now, and with all the layoffs in IT and all that, I'm guessing Google is uh, probably going to um, get rid of some Angular folks. It wouldn't surprise me. Now, talk about a hell of a resume thing that if you were on the Angular core team, but and it would be very interesting to see if they would have a hard time finding a job. I know that like I have decades of experience and I'm a proven like deliverer. Like I've worked in tons of situations that were really really hard and was able to make things happen. And literally the last time I uh, I quit my job and then like I literally in 6 months I got one interview. I only got one interview in 6 months. I had talked to some recruiters probably once every 2 weeks. I would talk to a recruiter and then I would kind of get into their like recruiters typically have like a technical like on their side technical interview. Um, so like um, so then I would do a technical interview on their side and then never got only got one interview with an actual hiring manager and I got that job. I mean, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. We are in a really weird time. So now I want to do this. And I don't really understand why. I don't think it's all the reasons that people like everyone's blaming AI. There's no way. AI is insanely useful. It's incredible. It's absolutely like you can't overstate how amazing AI, especially the large language AI is. But it's not by any means, not even close to the most impactful thing that's ever happened. Um, there are so many more highly impactful things that happened um, over over the decades that there's just no way that um, AI. I mean, like just literally the Visual Studio Code is to me more impactful than AI. The concept of like this thing, like we didn't have these things popping up. Like that, I think is more impactful than AI. Just the creation of languages as opposed to having to put zeros and ones in machine code was more impactful than AI. AI is insanely impactful. I mean, don't I'm not trying to get it twisted there, but like, there's no way that that's what's causing this massive disruption in in the work business. And not only that, but it isn't nearly as uh, unusual as people want to say it is. They're like, oh, I went to college and now I can't find a degree. Like, dude, I remember, I think it was like 1994. I worked at a Pizza Hut next to, that's pretty close to the University of Central Florida. And I was like a junior or senior. I was an upperclassman in engineering. And like my manager had a perfect GPA, graduate electrical engineer from UCF. He absolute perfect scores and all that. And he like kind of was he was one of the most brilliant people I've ever known in my life. And he was like he stayed as a manager there because he had gotten drafted into the Iraq because he was from Iraq and he got drafted into the Iraqi army and he didn't want to go back and go to war against the United States. So he's a manager at Pizza Hut, right? And then there was like a girl who graduated. She was beautiful. She was a beautiful girl. She had like she graduated with a mechanical engineering degree. She had like a 3.5, 3.6 GPA. You know, mostly A's. Super smart. She was a driver at Pizza Hut. She'd been graduated for a year, and I mean, and she had like student loans, and she had a lot of expenses, and she was like, sadly, very very sadly, she was like turning tricks behind the store to try to make ends meet. Um, so that it's not. There's been many times, and then the year before I graduated, everything kind of started warming up, and I remember this dude. He graduated with a perfect 4.0 GPA, and never got a single B. Never even came close to getting a B in engineering school, and that is something because the way UCF was they gave out, if you were in a class of 50 people, they gave out 5 A's and 10 B's. That's it. Everybody else got a C, D, or F. And everyone could get C's, but so this dude found himself in every single class where he was one of the top 10%, period. Um, and he took a job in Miami in a complete, like, dangerous area where they wouldn't even provide parking, paying $17,000 a year. And I was making like 23,000 a year as a pizza delivery driver. So his job paid like $6,000 less than a year than a pizza delivery job, and he had to live in a place that was like very very dangerous, and he was going to have to drive in every. He was have to. This is before Uber, so he was going to have to find a way into work every single day to work. There was no place for him to park his car, so he couldn't drive a car in. Um, so that was the year before. Then the year I graduated, I literally had 3 job offers, and I my only interview was a pizza party for the job that I ended up taking. So we had a pizza party where me and a bunch of people all sat there and we ate pizza and talked to the hiring managers, and then I got an offer. And so that was like heaven compared to the year before. And then the year after me, my friends that graduated were all getting signing bonuses. So like things change, and things have been very very bad the way they are right now in the past plenty of times, and now they're and they're really bad. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. The worst I've ever seen, I think. I think this is probably worse than when my friends were graduating with perfect GPAs and not able to find jobs and having to do awful things just to get by. Um, so I don't know, take that for what it's worth, but I do think that during the bad times, it's always going to be bad. That's the mindset. Oh, it's always going to be bad. This is horrible. It's always going to be bad. And then during the good times, it's always going to be good. There's all these reasons why it'll never be bad, um, but they're always wrong. It's going to be good again. The longer it's bad, the better it'll be because, let's face it, more and more people are going to leave IT. Um, all right, so we're good. We got 100% here. Anyways, so all files, and then we have got a ton of stuff. We're still in the B range for branches. And man, is it literally just this one? Just one service. This service only has well, here, let's click in. This service only has 80%, 50% branches, 82% of the functions, and 86% of the lines. So this is cool. Ah, yes, and see, this one I think is going to need a pretty big refactor. Um, this is where, like, yeah, just all hell broke loose, and I don't even know why that's that way, but yeah, this one's going to be a monster. Um, right off the bat, it's just so bad that let's see, where are we? It's just so bad that I have all this different language, all this code just buried in these functions. But this is the time. This is the time to sort of dib in. Okay, so we don't need this anymore. Because that was just so we could break out of, well, yes we do, left. Okay, that is the value. So we do need that. Is too wide. So it looks like that'll be an easy one. Now I'm wondering if it even gets called anymore. Yeah, I think it does, but maybe not. Anyways, what time is it? 8:51. Okay, so I got at least time to go look to see if is too wide is being called. What is the name of this file? Visualization service.ts. Yeah, this is going to be, I think it's going to be quite challenging to get this. Close others, and then is too wide. I guess the easiest way to even check something like this is just to comment it out and see if anything breaks. Oh, okay, so we are using it. Really surprised I wasn't, and I guess that does sort of show that, like, it would have been nice. It would have been a nice thing for past me to have done is to write a unit test specifically for is too wide. But obviously is too wide was being called as a part of some other function. And so then I just kind of side affected the, oh, okay, it's getting called. So let's see if calculate positions is still being called. Yep. Okay. So now is too wide. Anytime I see the spy on stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, this one is a little bit dicey. I don't really know enough to decide if the new viz will too wide. I don't know enough to decide whether to have an opinion on whether it's a bad thing when I'm doing a spy, but I don't like it. Okay, so is too wide. So I think is too wide only takes like, is really real pure. It's a pure function. Yeah, it takes just 3 numbers and returns a value. So this is a service or a component? This is a service. Okay, service dot to. Oh, is it because it's private? See, I wonder why. Why would I make that private? I don't know. I would love to go back and watch the video and try to figure out why in the world it makes sense to, like, what, it doesn't hurt anything, right? Like, let's say somebody calls the is too wide function, like, and they're going to get a value back. It's a totally pure function. I'll just say like 1 1 1 1 1 1. I'm just curious what we'll even get. I guess we need to come over here. So nothing failed. Now that's called, right? So like, because like literally all it does is return stuff. And see how did it help expect our. It's got us up to 81 in the 80s, which I think helps a lot. Okay, so let's actually unit test this thing though. Okay, so basically if the left, so it's going to return a true or false. Okay, so const, no, let too wide equals I guess if they're all the same, what would we expect? I think we would expect it to be left plus width is greater than, yeah, so it should return a false because, all right, it should return a true because, yeah, left plus the width. Um, and I guess this is a perfect example maybe of like it probably actually makes sense to write actual, like right now my goal is always like just to reach 100% because I feel like I'm already spending so much time on, oh no, we expect it to be true because it's too wide. um I'm already spending so much time on unit tests that I was like, okay, I don't want to get into the actual, like, oh, I'm testing, unit testing that things actually work the way they're supposed to work. I'm only trying to get to 100% and moving on. And now I would love to spend an hour just, or 15, 20 minutes just writing out all the different unit tests for this. But anyways, it is 8:58, so I got to start working 2 minutes. Um, so gotta go. Let's see where we at. Just so we go. Basically, yeah, we still need to do some more stuff, and we're definitely have to break these things down into smaller functions and stuff like that. So we got a long ways to go. This one's probably going to take a whole day. Always happy coding, everybody. Bye.